The Athene Real Talk Podcast explores controversial ideas to stimulate debate and active thinking. These ideas do not always reflect Athene's personal views. Welcome to the Athene Real Talk Podcast.
He has been called the best gamer in the world, hands down.
World-famous gamer and philanthropist Athene.
Gaming for Good, it's called, has raised more than $20 million.
Using his notoriety to raise money for charity.
On activism, science, culture, and self-development.
Proud to have him in the studio today. I would not want to take you on in a video game.
The reason why you make excuses is because when you grow up as a child, you grow up in a society with a culture of excuses. You literally learn it. When your parents are angry at you, or your environment or your teachers are angry at you when you're a child, you don't blame them. You think it's your own fault. As a child, you just do what you learn without bad intentions because you don't know any better. So if you see a certain excuse gets you something, you just do it because it works within that setting. But within reality, it doesn't work. It's like if you make an excuse to eat candy, maybe you get to eat the candy, but the candy is still damaging you. So when it comes down to reality, you don't get to win. Working is not even the right word because it doesn't work in reality. Things just are the way they are. But as you grow older and your brain becomes more advanced, then these excuses, while before they had no bad intent, you just didn't know better, these excuses become more advanced and create a more shallow hypocrisy towards each other. The moment you can start reflecting and projecting, you can see like, oh yeah, my family or my parents or my friends or my environment is not so much right all the time. It's not always me. But at that time, you have the set of excuses that you can use within this society where this intersubjectivity with all the people around you is basically conforming you to live that way. So you start judging other people, pointing fingers, really getting rid of your responsibility, even though deep inside you know you are bullshitting yourself, you know you're lying. And because of this entire culture of excuses is literally how you grow up, you start applying them in everything in your life, and that's why you live such a miserable life. You use excuses because they're conditioned, but the reason why you can get rid of them right now is also because of conditioning. You just see like, oh yeah, I know, I do something about that, I apply and I work hard. It's like working out, you know. You can go to the fitness club and say, I cannot lift 100 kilograms. Yeah, but you build it up. And you know how to start. You know how to go to the gym. You know how to work. You know how to do something. And the reason why you don't is because you make bullshit excuses and they seem to work within the intersubjectivity, but they don't work in reality because you still face the consequences. Perfect example why it's an excuse. Let's say, yeah, I don't want to work for myself. You tell that to your parents. I really rather play video games. Okay, get the fuck out. Like what? Go out. Get kicked out of the house. You're on the street. What do? You just find a job and you take responsibility. You pay bills. It's because you take all this shit for granted. Your parents taking care of your internet, your computer, your food, your cleaning. You take it all for granted and you use excuses to keep it that way. And when you stop making these excuses, you don't take these things for granted, you take responsibility and that's it. Because if reality faces you anyway, you do it anyway. And you can. And that's the thing, like people are just spoiled and have the ability to make these excuses within the framework of our society today, but it's screwing us over like crazy. It turns us into passive drones consuming shit all day, day in, day out, and literally screws us all over and the world as well. So yeah, you can actually change now. You can apply. We actually provide here a framework where people can come over and just be responsible, not because I tell them, but because they're responsible towards themselves and do what they believe is right. But it requires you to always, obviously, be honest to yourself and look at reality. You can't bullshit yourself and believe things that are not real. And applying is easy. Right now, we have 25 people that are coming over. And from those, almost 10 are already here. Sitsi says, I would come over, but then my parents and my friends would think I'm nuts and I lose my reputation. Sitsi, let me tell you something. That's exactly the problem. Your sense of responsibility is not defined by your friends and your family or whatever. Your sense of responsibility is defined by you. And if you ping to your environment to see what is valuable and what is not valuable, you are setting yourself up for a very shitty ride. Funnily enough, your parents want you to be responsible. Your parents want you to fall back on your own legs. Your parents want you to be able to take care of yourself because they know they won't be around forever. So going through this period will happen either way. Then your friends come and go anyway. And honestly, on a certain level, you know what I'm saying. This is just an excuse. This is an excuse you're telling yourself to justify and keep your comfort situation. Because when it comes down to doing what is right, you can't point fingers to get rid of your responsibility. You know what it is, the right thing to do. And you can't go like, oh yeah, I'm having a slave. My friends, I will lose respect if I let him free. Because they also have slaves and it's just part of... What are you saying, bro? Is that your excuse? Doing what's right is not defined by your friends or your family. Doing what's right is based on your own understanding of reality, and you're old enough to do so. You're not a child anymore. You're old enough to make your own decisions in your life and to take responsibility for them. And that's what growing up is. You want to stay with your parents your entire life? Let's have this conversation when you're 26. And you go like, yeah, I want to stay with my family because, say that to a girl. They'll just laugh at you and they'll just walk away. And you know that. It's about being responsible, about being independent and just taking care and doing what's right based on your own understanding. It's not even about what I say right now. It's about your own understanding of what is right. And doing it for the eyes of others is not a fucking explanation, it's an excuse. When Yannick came here, he was talking that the first 2 days that he came over, he was experiencing quite a lot of dissonance. And it's only today that he realized that it's about doing what he believes is right. Because even before, when it was about responsibility and no excuses, he was still channeling it through the environment. Because on a fundamental level, you literally learn how to always do things for others. You always learn how to make excuses for others, to be responsible relative to others. But when it comes down to doing the right thing yourself, you get so much conditioned as you grow older. Even as a child, you get demotivated, deconditioned to do what you think is right on a fundamental level. And it's not just him, it's almost everybody that's watching the stream. On a fundamental level, they're channeling their sense of doing what is right through others. They don't even allow themselves to do it because they think they will get judged. They think they will get punished. They think they will get bad consequences because that's what happened as they grew older. But if you do what is right and you use science in an unbiased way to do what is most logical, then it corrects itself. So you don't have to explain yourself to anyone, because on a fundamental level you know what doing what's right is, and you know what the consequences are of your action. So allowing you to do what is right on a fundamental level is really essential, and really realizing when people come over here, you can do what you believe is right and you don't have to justify it to anyone except to yourself. And you might say like, yeah, but what if I think taking drugs is right? That is not true, because you know on a fundamental level that it's irresponsible to do. You know it. Same with when people come and say like, oh, I want to eat meat. You know on a fundamental level that it's irresponsible. You know the science, you know the facts. You're just being biased and bullshitting yourself, but deep inside you know that it's flawed. Same with when you see war, you know it's flawed, you understand that, you have the common sense to understand, and definitely in this environment. So that's why you cannot just be attached to your beliefs and be entitled to it. You know you have to be responsible based on the consequences of your actions, and that's defined by reality, nothing else. Not your feelings, not your thoughts, not your beliefs. And if you have this honesty towards yourself, you can do what is right anytime, and no one can judge you except yourself. So that's why it's important to become your own biggest critic. That's what I am. I'm my own biggest critic, because I'm the one that gets to decide to which extent I am bullshitting myself or not, based on reality, based on the facts. And I am very, very hard on myself. And honestly, it's a relief. If you truly realize on a fundamental level that it's fine to do what is right, it's fine to really do what you believe is right, based on your reasoning, it's almost like people are afraid to do it. Because when they grew up, they got punished for it. And here you can do it. I'm going to apply after I finish my master in control theory in August. Can't spit on 4 years of hard, useful work. I'm afraid you already did. You already wasted more than 3 years. You know, when I hear these things, it reminds me of what is being said in Homo Deus. Basically, if you want people to really commit to your cause, right, you make sure they pay a high price. Because the more they have paid, the more they're invested. Like, he makes a few examples about unnecessary wars being fought. I think one in Spain, where they sent people, 10,000 people died. Then they send another 20,000, then another 30,000. And the reason why is because when people lose their son, then they're much more invested in the cause afterwards. And that's the thing, like, people have that. If they fight a holy war, they have to justify their suffering. They have to give it meaning. And it's the same with you going to university. Rather than facing you've been wasting your time, you just want to finish it. And then maybe you want to find a job in it. Because it's the way you're being caught up, even though it is not about what you've done, it is about what is the best thing you can do from now on. And it's quite fascinating to see that, how people can get invested and really be caught up in this web with debt and all that shit. It's actually a system that works quite fascinatingly well. And people can really, even the more intelligent people, can really get completely sucked into it and really believe it. They go like, yeah, I gotta do this. But when they're truly honest, they go like, yeah, this is just a fucking waste of my time. What is this paper worth? It's worth nothing. What is worth so much more than that shitty paper is your ability to be independent yourself, to take initiative, to be responsible. The reason why you guys are really trusting so much university and school, it's not because do you guys know what the problem is here? It's not like you guys know that it's real, it's just a feeling. And the reason why that is because when you grow up as a child, you have actions and consequences, right? If you put your hand on something that burns, you burn your hand and you stop doing that. You learn to trust your senses, you learn to trust your parents because they take care of you, and as a result you start learning to trust your intersubjective reality even more than actual reality, because it's not like you're in a cave anymore. You more depend on other people than on yourself when you're a child, and as a result you become validation seeking like crazy. But once you start realizing that it's all a scheme, it's all empty and nobody gives a shit and it doesn't really matter, you'll actually learn to not care so much about it anymore. And then you fall back onto your comfort and settle for what you know. But even then, when you grow up and you're in your 16, 17, 18, you just do what your parents tell you. Most of you guys just do what your parents tell you because you don't know what to do. Because they have always told you what to do. Your environment has always told you what to do. The society has always told you what to do. You've never really learned to think for yourself. And as a result, when they tell you go to university, you just go. You don't even think about it. Even if people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates say guys, we gotta change the system. We're gonna find a way to pay people to have jobs, even when they don't go and work, have a jobless salary. Because computers, machines are gonna take over so much. Even if the facts are there, you're so conditioned to just trust your environment that you blindly walk from the cliff. And that's the thing. What I'm telling you guys is don't trust your environment. Don't even trust me. Trust reality. Trust facts. Trust science. And of course it doesn't mean you have to distrust your family or your parents, but reality always comes first. And that's why when you go yeah, university, yeah, fuck that shit, man. If you trust reality and logic on a fundamental level and you let your decisions decide by that rather than what people say, you'll have a much more consistent life. It's just because you've grown up to really gain trust, because you saw that actions and the consequences were so defined from your environment that you fully trust it. That's why you trust money. You trust money more than anything. Money is paper. It can lose its value like that. Actually happened. I think it was in India. They just say from today, the 500 bills, worthless. Do you understand that? The value of money is just paper. The only reason why you trust it is because other people trust it. But it's not real. It only gets real because of the value. If tomorrow there's an economic crisis, if tomorrow the banks crashes, your money is worthless. It only has this value with what it can buy. And if it can't buy anything anymore, it's worthless. Reality overrides everything. And if you truly get that, you start creating a feedback loop based on facts and reality rather than about what other people say. You don't look at quantity anymore, you look at quality. And then suddenly it's yeah, what he's saying makes damn a lot of sense. Yeah, damn straight. And that's how you become self-independent. How do you have confidence in yourself? How do you provide for yourself? When you have something you can rely on yourself independently of other people. And reality is a really good candidate. It's the only candidate. And reality, you can understand it through logic. Man, you guys know that that's true what I'm saying. All the rest is just bullshit excuses, and you guys know it. That's why people, when they come over here, they grow up. They open up. Because it's normal when everybody around you always punishes you for doing what's right, for even believing in yourself. How many people, when you say I have an idea or whatever, they just break you down? I've had it all my life. Whenever I had an idea, people were breaking it down. It's not gonna succeed. And I didn't do it because I believed what other people said. Because if I would believe what other people said, I would just do a 9-to-5 job. I would be stuck. No, I believed in my understanding of reality. And I never gave up. Every day I woke up and I thought, how do I do better? And that's how you achieve greatness. Not even for others, for yourself. Every day you wake up, you try to do better. No fucking bullshit excuses. Because you know you can. I'm never satisfied. I always want to push my limits. And funnily enough, that's how you learn even how to walk, or how to run, or how to speak. People that get a stroke and lose their ability to speak or walk, they have to push themselves to learn it back. And I'm telling you, what I'm telling you right now, taking responsibility, coming over here, takes a lot of fucking less effort than someone that has a stroke and needs to learn how to walk and speak again. And funnily enough, well, actually rather sad, if the guy that has a stroke believes he can't walk and can't speak, it will never happen. Because he won't even put the effort in it. So don't make bullshit excuses. Look at the facts, look at reality, and apply already. And I'm not the kind of guy that just speaks. I'm not just the kind of guy that comes with words. I have actions to prove it. Look at my track record. I'm the biggest philanthropist on the internet, and that's not even my biggest achievement. My biggest achievement is what I created here. All these guys growing, believing in themselves, becoming entrepreneurs, opening up. This is what society should be like. I have a vision, I'm going for it, and it's going to happen. I'm going to achieve it. You might say like, I'm crazy that I'm going to change the world. I'm fucking going to change the world. Because people are lost. People are lost. You guys are lost. And I'm giving you guys the ability. Really strong framework. How to find yourself. Because it's not even about finding something else. It's about finding yourself. It's about allowing yourself to do what you believe is right. You don't need all these distractions. You don't need all these coping mechanisms. And I know you've even grown to be attached to it, but they're screwing you over and you know it. Don't bullshit yourself, guys. You guys know better.
Subscribe to youtube.com/AtheneWins. Watch the live stream at twitch.tv/AtheneLive and follow The Real Athene on Snapchat.